Welcome to Point Counterpoint. Point Counterpoint is a weekly issues program, and the opinions of the guests and participants are their own responsibility. We will always try to be open and honest on all issues to hear all sides. Welcome to Point Counterpoint. Today's issues are Cheney Run floodplain, Divvy bike rental program, which we might know as Zagster, the South Shore Station purchase, the reduced price liquor license of the waterfront or the riverfront or Trail Creek, and a recap on discussions. On Point Counterpoint, like we said last week, we are going to try to dedicate 10 minutes to 5 issues. So we can go on to each issue. If you don't like an issue in 10 minutes, you can come back and we'll do the next issue. We have 5 issues, and at the end we'll try to recap last 5 minutes to tell you what we discussed and maybe where we're going to go to next week. I have with me today, as always, our co-producer, Dwayne Perry. We're producing this show for our weekly issues on things we think are important to the Michigan City and the surrounding area. To give a little bit of forefront, last week we were kind of figuring out how we want to do this. We have an email address, and we'll put it up later at the end of the show. It's 46360show@excite.com. That's 46360show@excite.com. We're also working on a YouTube channel. It's just like the email address. It'll be the 46360 Show YouTube channel or Point Counterpoint. I've loaded it. I haven't loaded anything yet, Dwayne. We're going to try to put these shows on YouTube, so if you miss something, you want to rewind and hear something, you're welcome to it. But all this information we have here in our show cannot be reproduced without our permission, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Let me go over the 5 issues again. The Cheney Run floodplain, the Divvy bike rental program, the South Shore Station, and the reduced liquor licenses. So let me throw it over to you, Dwayne, for the Cheney Run flood program. I know you did a lot of research.
Thanks, Tony. The Cheney Run floodplain issue is ongoing. As you recall from last week's program, we talked about it in an overview. We hadn't received maps yet from the Indiana DNR as to what has been submitted to them for final approval. I did mention that we are aware of the cycle. A disposition has been given by the DNR and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and it has been issued to Michigan City. Michigan City will now, sometime in the future, it must be before August, notify the public that there will be a period for remonstration, and after that happens, then it will go into the final, the disposition coming into effect. What I'd like to show you today is the map that we were issued by the DNR.
This is the present map,
This,
2013.
yeah, this is current.
Current.
This shows in blue the area affected. The black line is the line of Cheney Run ditch as it used to be. What is in blue is the floodplain as it's been currently established by the Department of Natural Resources and FEMA. As you can see, there are areas, several areas of constriction where the flow of the water is throttled down. The flow is basically from west to east and east to west, and both directions meeting in this area and then flowing north toward Trail Creek. Okay? What we have here, you can see several areas of constriction. This is a Gardena area that was first brought up by the public. It flows north along Greenwood Cemetery, up across the boulevard, which is another area of constriction, where the South Shore tracks, freight tracks, run down to Kingsbury Industrial Park area. That's an area of constriction. And then where Michigan Boulevard crosses it here, there are several areas of constriction, and those I focused on because those areas, what you have is you have a single pipe carrying the wastewater, the stormwater underneath roads and railroad tracks, and if that single pipe is replaced with a much larger pipe or multiple pipes, then that allows the water that's upstream to flow without collecting at a higher elevation. That's why, as I mentioned last week, you have different elevations that establish a floodplain. In this area here, the Gardena area, the elevation below which you are considered to be in a floodplain is higher than the elevation up north of the boulevard and around the boulevard. So you reduce these constrictions, make them go away, and this elevation drops, thus taking a lot more people, hopefully all of them that live in the Gardena area, hopefully all the residents will be out of the floodplain. That's what I've been looking at to see, to verify that the city attempted to explore that. If they didn't, then I myself will be at the meetings for remonstration and ask the city to pursue that, to approach the railroads, CSX and South Shore, for an agreement to allow the city to go under their tracks and enlarge the passageway that the water flows in. But so right now, this week I reestablished contact with the DNR, asked them for the complete file on this, all the submittals that were made to them by Michigan City. I'd like to see to what extent Michigan City got involved in this and attempted to get the floodplain reduced.
So a little wrap up. You're interested in this because this is a lot of your ward.
Yes, oh yeah.
And these people, this was 2013, correctly?
2013, the people stepped forward.
That's when this map came into effect.
And the mortgage holders, now this is only for mortgage holders because it affects your mortgage insurance. If you bought the home and you don't have a mortgage on it, then you won't get any correspondence on this. You're not affected by it. The effect being that your mortgage insurance jumps in price substantially. So I was contacted by several people in the Gardena area, up north of Greenwood Cemetery, in the area of several of the streets, Woodland, Hitchcock, Dewey.
Dewey?
Yeah.
Yes.
These people are really suffering because they've seen sizable increases in their mortgage
Yeah, you're
insurance.
talking $200, $300, $400, $500 a month.
Yes,
This is not small change.
especially not for people on fixed incomes. That's why we're pursuing this.
And for the audience, the way this works, the federal government is the backer for flood insurance. And the federal government, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, puts together a plan, and they need to see what areas could be flooded with a 100-year flood. So they tell the states, and Indiana's the Department of Natural Resources, to do a study. And then they do a study, and they make these maps, and they put them out for a public comment period. They put these maps out for a public comment period, I believe in 2011, and they asked everybody, including the city of Michigan City, what they think about the map. Please remonstrate. They had public hearings. Some people might have been to them, and they say, this is what the map's going to be. Do you agree or disagree? Would you like to research it? What do you want us to do with this? Is this map accurate? Well, Michigan City did not remonstrate against this map, and it went into effect 2013. After you got a lot of calls as the ward council person, we started looking into it, right? And the city, granted, the city did say, okay, we don't think this is correct in the Cheney run. We think this is too big. You're affecting too many people. We have a large structure. Cheney run used to be an open ditch, just like you see out in the farm fields in South County. Big open ditch. And it can't flood. It's less of a chance to flood because it can't get blocked up. If you have a pipe, it'll get blocked up. So back in probably whatever, 30s, 40s, or 50s, we developed that area of the town. It got put into a pipe. It got covered up. But there's a lot of places we might be able to reduce that restriction and lower that flood zone even more. Now, the city's done good work, I think. They've taken the first step. The next step is going to require some money to either open the ditch up or enlarge the pipes and talk to CSX and talk to the school district owns a big portion of Cheney Run, and I believe, if I recall correctly, 3 or 4 years ago, there was a plan, and I think there was even a request for services to open up that area north of the school administration building back to an open ditch for environmental reasons and flood reasons. That would work wonders for less restriction. So you're asking that we should pursue maybe looking at some funding to, at least at a minimum, open up the pipe North Gardena Park. Maybe we should look at open up the ditch wherever we can. What's that, Ton and Blank right there at the corner? Maybe let Ton and Blank, because right now the way it works, the way drainage ditches work in the city and in the county and all over the state of Indiana, it's a drainage ditch that's protected so people don't build on it, and protected so we can maintain it. If it's a pipe drainage ditch, it's 75 feet from the center of the pipe. If it's an open drainage ditch, we have an easement 75 feet from the top of the bank. So right now, the city would own a 75-foot easement unless it got reduced somewhere legally in the past, 75 feet from the top of the pipe. So the Ton and Blank tract, which is, what is that?
It's right in here.
Greenwood and, can't think of
Greenwood and Woodland.
Greenland and Woodland, could potentially be opened back up for a nice, environmentally friendly open ditch, and hopefully it'll do good for the environment and may reduce the level of the flood south of the tracks in Gardena Park area. Same with the school administration property, and I know there's an RFP out on that. I haven't heard what happened to that in any sense in the past 2 years. We were going to open that up, make it environmentally friendly, clean the water, less restriction, and maybe lower some flood zone. So,
An RFP, for those of you
yeah,
who
Mark, tell me.
a request for pricing.
Request for proposals.
Proposal, okay.
Which pricing is effect?
My position on this is Michigan City owes this to its citizens. When Cheney Run was changed from an open ditch to a closed system, it was more than likely, as Tony said, done for development. Well, that was a long enough time ago that any development that was to occur along that path has occurred. So now we can look at areas like where it crosses the CSX tracks next to Ton of Blank's property, or across that there is no residential development. Those areas can be open that will have a positive impact on that. It's rather ironic because they base these things on what they consider, what they say, 100-year reign. Well, in 2008, we had a massive rain that flooded half of northwest Indiana. So that wasn't 100 years ago, and 100-year rains in reality occur more frequently than 100-year rains, than every 100 years. So that part of it is a little bit confusing, but we still have to avoid massive flooding in Michigan City and at the same time protect our citizens, which at this stage I think more can be done along those lines.
But you're waiting for some background information on the engineering that was done to reduce. It got reduced in, what was it, August 4th? If the public comment period goes like it's planned to, the maps we saw say August 4th, the new reduced map, which is substantially reduced, goes into effect with the floodplain.
Right. This map will be coming into effect August 4th.
We need to see some background data if we're going to pursue this further, to say, well, maybe the city needs to start thinking about spending some money to open the ditch and increase the pipe sizes, and look and asking CSX and asking Ton and Blank and asking the school district, could they help us out? Could they help the citizens out?
Absolutely. Hopefully I will receive that material this week in a timely manner so I can review it and I can report back to our viewers.
All right, so that leaves us a little over our 10 minutes, but that's okay.
It's an important issue.
Next, we want to go to the, I believe it's the Zagster bike rental program that we saw in the paper. We usually talk about it, and Dwayne and I talk about it as Divvy.
Oh,
Only thing we've seen is Divvy. To get a little background before I let Dwayne in on this one is, the newspaper said it's $86,000 per year. 3-year contract. I believe it's called Zagster. These are the bikes you rent, and you get to ride around, and you put them back. My research on them, they have GPS location on them. You got to rent them with a credit card. You have them. You're responsible for them. If it's lost or stolen or broken, you're kind of on the hook there if you rent these bikes, which is good because we don't want people ruining the bikes or stealing them. But the newspaper said this was a downtown only, and I'm going to throw this over to Dwayne because he's done a lot of research on this bike program. We saw a Anvil Chorus letter, which I thought was really neat in the paper, that maybe we could do something this internally or with help from somebody like Zagster or Divvy and use our local students or our local AK Smith students to help us maintain these bikes and get these bikes where they need to go. So I'll leave it to you, Dwayne.
Well, Tony, I'm scratching my head on this one. When we first talked about it, I was totally in the dark. I didn't know what was going on, so I figured I better find out. So that's where Google comes in. I got into it. I found out that this is a nationwide activity, a nationwide service in large cities. Currently, there are 45 cities in the United States that have these bike share programs. That's what they call
Is that just Divvy or is that?
No, there's 33 different companies that are providing these bikes. 33 different companies. It was Zagster, it was Divvy in Chicago. Tony told me right before the program that he has read that.
Said it was Zagster.
Now it's Zagster. There's a lot of change in that. Out of the 35 communities that have gone into it, only one has dropped out. It went bankrupt in Seattle, and they dropped it after just 2 years. But looking at it, out of the 45, they're all major metropolitan areas. Out of the 45, the smallest area was Somerville, Massachusetts, which is almost 3 times the size of Michigan City. So when I found that out, I started wondering how much thought and research has really gone into this. You know, we have short seasons here. The original program, as conceived by Michigan City, to my understanding, is 48 bikes at 12 different locations. There'll be 12 stations, 4 bikes per station. Michigan City, as Tony said, it costs $86,000 a year for a 3-year contract. So you're talking $258,000 there. It's a lot of money. If instead of these bikes, if you put it into municipal coaches, we can have more routes, more drivers, add additional buses, smaller buses. And that $258,000 over 3 years can do a lot to improve the current public transit system that we have in place. And after 3 years of $58,000 a year for bike rental, we own nothing. We have nothing to show for it.
Well, wait a minute. They're saying that you get some return. You looked into that, right?
Oh, yeah.
You get a little return off this.
Every bike rental, Michigan City receives 93% of the revenue after taxes. So there is a payback.
Well, how much is that? About how much?
Oh,
For 48 bikes, what did we research? $10 a day.
$480 a day.
So $480 a day. Let's say Michigan City, what's the good weather around here? This is northern Indiana. So say we get, let's be fair. Let's say we get 6 months of good use of the bikes.
6 times 30 is 180 days.
Well, we gotta be fair. Let's say 6 months, you got full use of all 48 bikes for the weekend. So 2 days, 2 days, 2 days.
My hard drive doesn't operate that fast.
Okay, so
150 days a year at $480 a day, right?
So 150 days, you're going to get 100 full use. I
use.
can't go with you there. I can't go with you there.
Too low?
Too high. Full. You're going to have 48 bikes rented all day, all long.
Oh no,
for
absolutely
150
not.
days. So let's say 100 days. 100 days times $480 a day is
$48,000 a year,
$48,000 a year.
and we're paying 86.
You think you're going to? I think you're heavy. I say you got 10 good weekends around here at full use of 48 bikes.
Well, to my knowledge,
So I'm thinking you're 20. I'll be conservative. I'll say $20,000 a year in fees.
to my knowledge, in the workshop that was held on this and the public statements at the council meetings, no numbers were presented, to my knowledge.
Yeah, we don't.
Other than the base numbers, $86,000 a year.
Yeah, but we're
for 48 bikes.
we're guessing with our experience in Northwest Indiana that we think we'll have full use for 50 days a year at $10 per bike per day. So let's say you get our return is $20,000 a year. That leaves us 60-some thousand that we have to pay just to have these bikes available for rental. You know you know where I'm going with this one. I mean, $60,000 a year. Say that's 5 or 6 kids, students in Michigan City that we give college scholarships to. I mean, again, I'm going to keep on this show all the time. There is no better use of our funds than education. No better use. Education can increase your property values by 25, 50, 75%. It's an investment we have to decide to make all the time. But go back to the
Well,
bikes.
since I can't stretch this topic to jobs, then I'll agree with you. We
Thank
could
you.
put that money in education and further educate our kids with college and trade schools.
Yes, I'm not just
There's a
talking
tremendous
college.
shortage of trades in the country. The average tradesman is almost my age now. That's too old. We need to rebuilding. We need to be rebuilding the trades.
So let me get on the other side. You brought up transportation. We have, and let me zing off of education. We have the Triangle bus, which goes from, correct me if I'm wrong, Michigan City, I believe, the mall, to Swanson Center, to LaPorte Courthouse, and to Purdue.
Right.
So that bus triangulates between those. We know school's out. Well, Purdue's out. Finals week is next week, so Purdue's closed, other than some summer program for all summer, which is our Michigan City's the height. So I don't know what we can do, because I know that bus. When I see that bus, it says it's owned by the Michigan City.
Oh, yeah.
Michigan City Transit Authority owns that bus. It says on the sticker on there. Could we use that bus to run 15-minute run, just like they do at Disney World, from downtown to the Lighthouse Mall, to the beach, to Blue Chip, to downtown, to Lighthouse Mall, to the beach. So when you're on the beach, if you want to get something to eat, you can bop over to downtown and go to Fiddleheads or Ryan's, or you can go anywhere downtown.
And you're riding in an air-conditioned bus rather than dodging traffic as you go over to the Trail
You could
Creek
bring your
Bridge
beach towels and
or
your
Michigan
purse
Boulevard. Yeah.
and your things, and you could buy something from the Lighthouse Mall and bring it back to the beach.
That's why I'm scratching my head on this one, Tony.
I mean, we have.
I mean, I would have liked to have heard when this was presented, I would like to have heard the administration say that they've consulted other cities. Indianapolis, Milwaukee, and Fort Wayne are all three having bike share programs.
Now, what's their size of their bike share program
Well,
compared to ours?
Indianapolis and Milwaukee are much huger, much larger than Michigan City. I'd say Fort Wayne is probably in the vicinity of 80,000, about like Somerville, Massachusetts. I just went through a list of all the cities in the United States by
But
population.
their bike program, ours will be the smallest.
Oh, by far the smallest.
By far.
By far.
Not even close.
The smallest on the list of participating communities was what did I say? Somerville, Massachusetts, a population.
That's interesting we started on RFP of this show. Because you said there's 33 companies that do this.
Yeah.
Did we have a request for proposals to ask 33 companies how much they would charge us? Did we just get one? I mean, we don't know. Maybe
Or did
they
we
did.
just go divvy like Chicago has?
We don't know. Did we ask some people? Because we're kind of we're small here. I personally think it'd be a good idea, but not for $86,000.
You got to do your homework. And if you know the resources are out there, city governments will cooperate with other city governments. Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, they're not that far away.
Yeah, we could call them up, say, hey,
See how
how'd
their
it work?
program's going.
Where's the best place to put these? What do you got? I mean, we don't know if they did or not. All we do is read the paper and look at the workshop and find out as much as we can. We don't have any of the paperwork, so we can't. This is what we understand is happening.
Well, I understand Councilman Beatry put this, or not Councilman Beatry because he was in full support of it, but the council put this, tabled this indefinitely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we'll see when it comes off the table what the next step is.
So there we go. There's our 10 minutes, folks. We said we'd be true to hold the 10 minutes. Let's move on to the South Shore Station. If you saw in the paper, the Redevelopment Commission, and the way the paper said, they are going to offer those people $200,000 for the South Shore Station and the parking lot on the north side of it. What is that, 10th Street? and 10th Street. They own the parking lot and they own the South Shore Station. I believe the parking lot to the east of the South Shore Station is owned by Nickty right now. So we're buying the building and the parking lot behind it, which we need parking. You know, anyone sees down there, we need parking. But what did you find out about
Well,
that?
unless I was misinformed, I was told that the agreement dictates that Michigan City will buy the entire block. Now, if that's the case, there's some residents on the northeast corner of that block that are going to want top dollar for their property. There's those couple of storefronts on 11th Street between the old station and Franklin Street. Again, Michigan City buys the entire block, transfers ownership to Nickty. Nickty then will build the station and the parking garage, their cost, after which Michigan City will maintain the retail spaces and the garage. We will be responsible for maintenance of the retail spaces in the garage. The kicker, and this is really a kicker, I don't know, I've seen a lot of buildings and I've seen a lot of construction. I understand.
Well, this is what you did for a living.
This is what I've done.
What you did for a living.
Since 1973.
Did this for a
been
living.
doing a long time. That the only part of the existing station is going to be demolished. I don't think any of us planned on that. The only part of it that's going to be saved is the front of it, the facade.
That was in the paper. They said they were going to tear the whole thing out except the facade.
Except the facade. They're going to save it, but they're going to relocate it 12 feet back to the north. And I went through the Warren building before renovation ever started. I saw cross-sectional cuts through the walls. And in that era of construction, they didn't use cinder block walls. They used clay pipe or clay bricks, clay blocks in the middle. Moving a wall that old, 12 feet, I don't think can be done and keep it intact. But the kicker is that Nickty agreed that they would save that wall if they could do it for $1.5 million or less. If they don't get any bids lower than $1.5 million to do it, then it's going to be demolished.
Now, I just thought of this. Maybe you have a little insight. We did something like this that's presently right now on, what, 5th Street in Franklin, the old bank, the old ivory limestone columns are still up
The
there?
old First Merchants Bank?
The old First, isn't that still up right now, right in front of Horizon?
Yeah,
But they didn't move it. They just left it.
they just left it.
They didn't try to move it.
No,
It stands.
They did not
stands
move
there by itself right now.
yeah.
Huh. Didn't think of that. But that's what I was doing on the phone while you're talking. Is there's 2 homes and 3 businesses on that block. Now, I did a little research. If the $200,000 is correct, I did hear a rumor that it's really $250,000, unsubstantiated.
Which is kind of sad when the last owner bought it for $125,000.
The last owner bought it for $125,000, and there were articles in the paper how that individual is going to redo it and make it a restaurant and be the booming place so the people who wait for the train could buy some coffee and some donuts and some lunch or some dinner or something, some snacks, and none of that. None of that came to fruition.
No.
Now we're paying the person $200,000 for something they bought $125,000 last year. We're paying for, is that the same? We're paying to demolish it, right?
Yeah.
We're paying for any asbestos in that building.
Oh, yeah,
or
you don't
any
know.
other environmental problems. We're paying. In the back parking lot, we're paying.
Back in the day when that was a functioning facility on the north side,
And what was there?
Indiana Trailways bus. That was a local bus station.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you may have some remediation of soil on the north side.
Parking lot.
Yeah, that parking lot.
Didn't know that.
I don't know if that's been looked at. I'm scared of what the bottom line is going to be when that's done. What do you think?
I don't see it. I would like to save that front because it's gorgeous. It's probably Indiana limestone or something unbelievably nice, but as soon as you touch it, I think it's going to crumble and fall down, and it would look nice if that was still there, but I think it's going to be so expensive, Nickty's going to say, forget it. It's not worth it. Tear it down. I think they'll put something like it in its place, but I don't know it'll be near as nice as what that front looks like now. Now, I agree, that building, when I saw that $125,000, they bought that building 2 years ago, and they had pictures online of what that thing looked like inside. It was horrendous. I've been in there a couple times when I was a kid. Beautiful building. Gorgeous inside. Completely run down. It's a tear down. It's sad, but no one ever kept it up. They let it just deteriorate to nothing. I don't know what
What
to
do you
do
think
with that
we'll end
building.
up at? $500 million?
I don't know. I think you might end up. I don't know if the 7th Street. I hate to bring this up. The 7th Street open air park on Franklin cost $8 million, and the police station cost 12, and they're talking about $30 million for City Hall. You know, maybe we're another $20 million. I don't know. I don't.
Oh, that low?
If all we're gonna do is tear it down and put a parking garage in.
No.
Blue Chip built a parking garage. St. Anthony's built a parking garage. Those people are smart enough to have their, their pennies and their dimes and nickels together.
Well, I brought that up, and I pushed Nicky for an answer on that when I was on the council, when they said Michigan City will have a station there, and I asked, define a station. Is it going to be a building where commuters can go inside with conveniences, bathroom, lunch and counter, magazine magazine stand like it used to be, or will be nothing more than a loading 800-foot
weather
loading
shelter.
platform, a shelter
weather
adjacent
shelter.
to an 800-foot covered loading platform.
See, that's what breaks my heart. I have a huge problem shutting down Pine Street, shutting down Spring Street. You're just cutting the city in half. Just
What's the first street to the east? It's Lafayette, right?
Lafayette, I think the first one open.
Which is one lane each way.
And the plans they're showing, they're tearing down that really nice old church there at Lafayette 11th.
The one with at the bend in the tracks?
Yeah, I think the plans they show,
boy.
they're tearing that down. I don't know, but that's the last I heard. But that's our 10 minutes. We have to move on. We can go on and on and on. We're going to the reduced waterfront, river, Trail Creek liquor licenses. If you follow this over the years, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I got my numbers right. When this first got started by the state of Indiana, there were places that wanted to do liquor licenses, and liquor licenses, a little bit of background, liquor licenses in the state of Indiana are per township. So Michigan Township, Cool Spring Township, they hold a certain number of liquor licenses. And those are allowed to be traded and exchanged and sold and bought by whoever wants to run a liquor store or a bar or an establishment.
So they don't issue so many new liquor licenses every
Not
year.
for hard liquor. Now, Dwayne is my chief office deputy, confidential deputy in the surveyor's office. I'm the county surveyor. So we, every day or a few times a week, we see permits for liquor licenses. That's different because the state of Indiana, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe, they offered beer and wine licenses, which is something you could get. But if you're asking for a liquor license, that's a whole different gambit. That is a license that's a limited number in the township of which they're in. So each township gets, and I don't know how it is. I think it's based on population, or maybe it's a set number. I don't know how that works. But there's only so many in the township. So Michigan Township, which is north of Cool Spring in Michigan City, gets so many liquor licenses, and those have been bought and sold between families and generations. And I understand they run from $150,000 to $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
If you have to buy one, you got to pay up that kind of money. So you're
in advance to get your
in
license.
advance. So you're talking
There's
Olive
payment,
Garden.
There's no payment plan.
No, Olive Garden, Buffalo Wild Wings, Chili's. They all have to have those. Those people had to buy them. Rodini's, Galveston.
Yeah, you haven't even, Rodini's in Galveston.
Ryan's Irish Pub.
Ryan, the established that have been there for a long time. 3 Sheets, Ryan's, Barker Inn,
Yes, all those people
Four Stop
paid
Bar.
for their liquor license.
They all had to pay in advance.
$150 to $200 up front. Pay that up front.
Yep.
Now the state of Indiana said we would like to have more tourists or more action around the waterfront, so we're going to give you the ability, redevelopment or the city the ability to have liquor licenses within, I think it was 1,500 feet. And Michigan City did that to much consternation of the local liquor license people and the bar owners.
I understand it's 3,000 feet. They must have
I
expanded
think we just went through, I think, an expansion which brought it to downtown. So now Fiddleheads and some people downtown. So the thinking is if they can have a liquor license, it'll draw more people downtown, increase tax revenue, increase the property values, and that's worth the reduced cost liquor licenses compared to somebody who already has them, like Ryan's Irish Pub, Galveston already has it, Matey's has it, Benny's, or not Benny's, was there in the Amtrak station. They moved out. They moved out to old Benny's now, though. But they had a liquor license.
It was Swing Bellies.
Swing Bellies, they had a liquor license,
Yeah.
and they moved that. It's expensive. They took it with them. So What'd you find out about your research on the?
Well, I got to comment on what you just said. If it's 3,000 square feet, then
3,000 lineal feet.
3,000 lineal feet, it's got to be as the crow flies.
Yes.
Because Zorn Brewery just got one.
Yes, Dave's own brewery's got
right across the street from the old brewery on the boulevard. So it must be a direct line between the facility and Trail Creek, because Zorn Brewery's a lot further. If you measured it from Franklin Street Bridge, that point.
Well, it's anywhere along the creek.
Anywhere along the creek.
I believe.
Within 3,000 feet.
3,000 feet parallel.
It's got to be, because I thought that was really stretching it.
Yeah, so we saw Fiddleheads and the Zorn Brewery, which we want to encourage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't the South Shore Brewery, who's over there
Oh,
at the old, they must have their own liquor license, or maybe.
Shoreline.
Shoreline. Are they, their liquor, right? They're beer, wine, and, anyway, so they must have bought their liquor license from somebody. So what did you find out about the liquor license? Is this a one-shot deal? We pay some money and that's it? Or
no, there is a payment required. There's a $1,500 fee to register with the state, get your license, and after that, there was an ordinance, so to speak, passed by Redevelopment Commission, establishing what they called a riverfront dining foods or dining fund, a riverfront dining fund, which at the discretion of the Redevelopment Commission, they can require a license holder to pay up to $2,000 a year for the life of the license,
Up to.
which is indefinitely.
Up to.
Up to. It's up to the discretion. They can make one license holder pay $150. They can make another one pay the full $2,000.
Well, you don't know that.
It's at their discretion. That's what that means.
I don't think that could be fair. We
Well,
have to see that.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's been fair to the.
They can either charge somebody zero, everybody zero, or they could charge everybody 2,000.
Yeah, I don't believe it's fair to the bar owners that we mentioned.
Is it possible for the bar owners to sell their liquor license somewhere out of the waterfront district and then buy a waterfront district license?
Ooh, logically, that's.
Logically, if you have a $200,000 license, you sell it to somebody out of the waterfront district and you buy the waterfront district license and you still operate just like you were.
I'm sure that the sale would be blocked. The sale would be blocked.
Okay, if it's
Could involve
$2,000 and we say it's $200,000 for a liquor license, how long is it going to take
Well,
you?
let's say something I can figure out real quickly. If it's $150,000, that's 75 years.
So 75 years.
At
They'd have to pay-
$2,000 a year for them to reach that $150,000.
Okay, 2,000.
So,
200,000 by
it's-
2,000 is 100 years.
As my
100
colleague,
years.
Councilman Mr. Beatry and Mr. Murphy always used to say, we need to have some skin in the game. At this rate of payback, I don't think these guys barely skin a knuckle.
That's not
We don't-
bad. It's not a bad thought. Maybe you increase the payback. Maybe it's 10,000 a year.
Well, I think the city needs to
Then that's
recoup
15
that.
years. That seems fair.
The city needs to recoup that cost.
Just to make
Or if the city's going to let it go, they need to offer something to existing bar and restaurant owners. Either a break on their property taxes, a break on their annual fees that they have to pay. You got to be fair, and if you're going to, they're not free, but if you're going to give these licenses to new businesses at this cost, I think some fairness has to be extended. Some fair actions need to be extended to the long-time business owners in Michigan City.
You know, I'm getting my calculate. If you tell one of these waterfront license owners, you got to pay $10,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to let you have one of these, plus your other upfront costs.
15 years, $150,000.
15 years is the payback, but you're talking like $200 a week. So you're talking, say, $500-$600 a month. They should. If it's true that the waterfront licenses are going to bring more people and more revenue downtown, which increases property values and gets the downtown going, I understand that argument and I'll support that. But if it's going to do that,
I do too.
if it's going to do that, then they should be able to pay $500 a month. To be fair to the bar owners who generations have owned these licenses and have had skin in the game,
Yep.
bought buildings, good times and bad times. These people have been here, and we've been to their restaurants in January and December when there's just a few people, and we supported them.
Tony, it's the right thing to do.
That's the right
Because
and
now
fair
you've
thing
taken
to do.
that pie and you've split it up. When people would go out for the evening and they go to Ryan's,
Well, it makes the competition fair. Does one restaurant who gets $2,000 a year, or Ryan's who has to pay $10,000 a year to maintain their liquor
but beyond
license?
that, I'm
It's fair.
talking about their clientele, the amount of business they do. Now you have Fiddleheads that has a three-way license within a block of Ryan's. So whereas
Yeah, but they got an
people
advantage
might,
because they didn't pay
in the
$200 for
past,
the license.
in the past when people would spend their evening at Ryan's, they might now finish their evening at Fiddleheads. They might start at Ryan's and finish at Fiddleheads.
Maybe.
So Ryan's lost some business, or vice versa.
Or Galveston.
It could flow the other way. Or
Beatty's.
Galveston. Yeah. Yeah, Galveston and Beatty's have been there for a long time.
Mady's built theirs from this
We're-
tiny little.
We're taking this pie and we're cutting it in a lot smaller pieces.
No, I think we're just making it bigger. Not
We're-
cutting this pie any small. I'm making a bigger pie.
Well, I hope it attracts more people in
That's the
Michigan
hope.
City.
That's the hope of the waterfront license. The whole thing
But
is
if it
that
doesn't,
you make a
then
bigger pie.
then the pieces of pie are going to get smaller.
And we don't want the pieces
Well,
of
no,
pie to
we
get smaller.
don't.
We need the pieces of pie to get bigger. So I hope the logic works. And we're going to say it on the show more than often than not. What's the return on the investment? We started out with the bike rental plan. What's the return on investment? The government is functioned and created that we would take land and we would develop it and have property values for a return on investment to provide service. Police, fire, sewer, water, streets, schools. That's why the government is here. To
That's the job of the
utilize your
government.
money and provide you the services to let you have the ability to be free and grow a business or a generation on what we're doing. So what's the return on investment for the private citizen, not for the government? And that's, I guess, when we lead into that. If the Redevelopment Commission is collecting $500 a month from these licenses, how does that help the private citizen in something? Reduce sewer bill, reduce stormwater fee, or take the money for a stormwater fee. We don't have a stormwater fee. Plowing, garbage pickup, school. Here I go again. I say the money should go to school. You take every dime. If you could push money into school, it will pay off. The return on investment in that is 25, 50, or 75%. It's insane the return on investment on with schools. If you have a good school system, people will knock your door down to get into this area.
Well, isn't that what awarding the riverboat to Michigan City was based on? A lot of the revenues going into the educational system?
Yes,
That's my understanding.
that was my understanding too. But we beat that one up now. We've spent
That's
10
where-
minutes on it. We could go on and on. So let's move on to, it's my topic right now. 1, 2,
Okay.
3, 4. The fifth topic is in the paper. I believe it might have been in today. And I've been trying to watch this. They're increasing the gas tax by 10 cents a gallon and a penny a gallon for the next 5 or 7 years. And they're going to add a tire tax, I believe, $5 per new tire that you buy will be, and they're increasing your registration fee, I believe, by $15. And then I think it's $25 or $50 for a hybrid and $150 for an electric car, because those cars don't use gas and they don't pay the tax. I think, let me open it up.
Where's all this new
Let
revenue
me
supposed to
open
go?
up this because there's an article in South Bend Tribune today. Online I read it. St. Joe County has 2,200 lane miles of road in their county. And the person, the St. Joe County highway engineer, I believe, went on record, says that they can fix 22 miles a year with the money they have. Not much. And their roads last 15 to 20 years. And he was happy, and should be happy, that he could get more money. And maybe I think the paper said he thought he could double that. So he can replace 44 miles a year now and last long enough. I don't like the gas tax, but I don't see how it's enough. It'll make a dent, but it's not enough money. There has to be something else we can do, because now St. Joe County only does 44 miles a year. LaPorte County has approximately 1,200 lane miles in the county, I believe. We believe, if I'm correct, I believe we do 10 miles a year. Now, some of our roads don't do that much. You know, some of these roads in South County, we might not see them for 30 or 40 years. They just don't get that kind of use. They get some heavy use, though. You take a grain truck, it's pretty heavy. It'll hurt a road. But you talk about 400 North, Johnson Road, Long Lane. We got some roads that get some heavy use in our county.
Pounding every day.
Yeah, Johnson Road. Super busy road, and we have to pay for that whole thing. Let's see, when did Johnson Road get fixed? If I recall correctly, Johnson Road got repaved 10 years ago. So I believe it's coming up the next 2 or 3 years, and we could see us getting cracked in it. It's going to need to be redone. Now, I think that was $600,000 or $700,000 just to repave that top coat. I thought the number they're knocking around was $1 million to redo it all, but I think we only spent $600,000 or $700,000 just to get it where it is. So I don't know how this issue is a good point counterpoint issue. 10 cents a gallon. They said it's going to cost the average citizen $50 a year. That's not much money. Granted, I'm an elected official. I hate taxes. I hate increasing fees. Man, it just drives me crazy. Are we doing the best with what we have now? And are we being honest about the fees we need? I'm sure as elected officials, you don't want to pass a 50-cent gas tax because that's what you're going to need to fix all the roads. That'll never fly. But 10 cents a gallon, $5 a new tire, $15 on your registration fee. I mean, I guess it's a good start, but you know, where do we need to be in 10 or 15 years?
That's a tough question, Tony. I like you hate to be taking any more money out of my pocket. My heartburn with this whole thing goes back much further than what we're talking about right now. Every increase in money out of our pocket that I can remember has not gone for the intent, what it was we were told it would go for.
Yeah, go for the whole list.
First,
the lottery,
it was a toll road.
Scratch off tips.
First, it was a toll road.
Toll road.
Then it was the lottery. Then it's
and then the casino.
Then now it's casinos, and none of them, the revenues seem to go where they were intended to go. I think it boils down to commitment and better government.
Yeah,
you got to keep your word. If you say it's going to go into roads, if you say it's going to go into education, if you say it's going to go into economic development, it's got to do it.
You're going right down the alley I was thinking, because we were told when the lottery came in, all that money is going to education.
Yep.
We were going to have the best education in the nation, if not the world. And we recouped it. We had reduced registration fees. We needed it. Police and fire pensions need to be paid. Teachers' pensions need. That money got it got baseline and never went there. The way I understand about the gas tax and the tire tax and registration, it is by law going to go to fix the roads. Are we going to see that again in 2 to 5, 6 years that they say, hey, we only need $2 billion to fix the roads. The gas tax is bringing in $4 billion. We're going to take the other $2 billion. We're going to spend it over here. Yeah. I thought that was the last argument this last week that's what held it up, that we have to guarantee this money gets to the roads. Our constituents need to see the roads they drive on are not pothole filled and we're fixing them because we just taxed them some more. We got to guarantee every penny gets down on the road. And I see that happening more often 5, 10 years from now. Well, there's a lot of money. This part of the government needs more money, so we'll shift it over there. And I don't want to pass a new tax, but we'll just hide it inside this tax fee we already have.
Well, it looks to me, my perception of this is front page news isn't front page very often. Back in, I forget what it was, maybe 2006 or 7, when it'd be 2007 or 8, when the Interstate 35 bridge up in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, or
Yes.
Mississippi collapsed.
Yes.
Oh my God. Within the next 3 weeks, there were statistics on how many bridges in the United States are in bad need of repair.
Oh, yeah.
Could fail. So close. have we seen that, we're gonna do this. We're gonna rebuild our infrastructure. Has it happened? No.
Well, in LaPorte County,
We've done a lot, but it didn't stay front page priority. And
no. Well, in LaPorte County, we have lots of bridges, and granted, our county engineers and our county commissioners through the various administrations now have made it a priority to make sure our bridges are up to snuff, they're up to date, they are safe. I saw the county council issued funding for one bridge in the county, which they're going to redo, and we're going to try to save some money. Our county engineer is fantastic. But we're probably one of the few counties that all our bridges are already fixed and maintained. We know we fixed them. Any deficient bridge we've gone through, scouring, we have fixed all our bridges in LaPorte County. So we kept our word here, and I kind of feel bad if we're raising the gas tax for other counties who either didn't because they didn't know, or they didn't because they thought, well, at some point in the time, the government, don't worry, they'll raise your taxes and give us money to fix it. Let's just leave them deficient. It wasn't front page anymore. Let's leave them deficient, and then we'll get some more money, and then we'll fix them.
well, I got to make it perfectly clear. I was not accusing LaPorte County of not
LaPorte County, and it's amazing.
doing what they need to
You're
do.
talking 3-4 administrations. You're talking 3 or 4 engineers who all sang to the same hymnal here of making sure our bridges are safe and up to date.
Oh.
Most counties didn't do that. It became, like you said, it became front page news, and everyone was thinking about it, and all the legislature talked about it, and then it went off the front page and
Drifted away.
And drifted away. We saw that in Atlanta the last few weeks, right? That the cable, the piping underneath the bridge caught fire by some homeless or something. I don't know what it was. And the bridge collapsed and failed. No one was on it. No one got hurt. But the bridge caught fire underneath. It got so hot it collapsed the bridge. If you look at that bridge, I was trying to look at it on the Google Maps, like you went to the start of the show. You can go to Google Maps. You can see that bridge. And what we saw, and you're probably telling me this is wrong or right, in the 60s and 70s, these bridges were steel beam, steel trusses.
Supporting concrete deck.
Supporting concrete deck. It got so hot, the steel melted and it fell down.
The steel fails, the beam, the paving fails because concrete is not strong in tension. It's strong in compression.
Yes.
And when it's functioning like a beam, it's going to fail. It can't support its own weight.
So the new bridges, and I do a lot of work on bridges, they're pre-stressed concrete beams now. So they're not steel, they're pre-stressed concrete. So that concrete could probably handle a lot more heat than those 60s or 70s steel trusses. So
what that means for our viewers is a pre-stressed piece of concrete, before they cast the concrete, whether it's a beam or a slab, a deck slab, they run high-strength steel rope, large diameter, through the formwork, and they stretch it. They stretch it within its yield range, and then they pour the concrete.
It doesn't break, just stretches.
What's that?
Stretches, doesn't break, just stretches.
It doesn't break, it stretches, and then they pour the concrete, and once the concrete's set, they release the tension stretching on the rope, and as it wants to contract, then it puts the concrete under compression, in which state concrete is very strong under compression. It's marvelous. It functions marvelously under compression. So now you've eliminated the need for the structural beams underneath the deck. The deck supports itself, courtesy of the stretched steel ropes that are embedded in the concrete.
And the concrete, and you can tell me if this is true or not, the concrete can withstand a lot more heat than that steel beam.
Concrete is commonly used as fireproofing because it resists heat so well. The surface falls off, but enough of the cross-section remains intact that the structure inside is protected.
Yeah, because the steel beam, you could drive underneath. I think the bridge underneath 94 and 35, I think, is still steel beam. We just had the one redone at 421 and 94. But you can see these 60s and 70s steel beams, because they were cheap, and we had steel, and we could make these long beams, and we could put them out there and make these bridges quick, because the interstate was brand new.
Yep.
And we have these beams. We didn't think there's going to be a fire underneath it, and it was going to just warp and bend, and the deck would fall down. So we found how to pre-stress concrete cheaply and effectively, and we didn't realize the end result of that is that it can stop the heat problem if somebody wanted to melt our bridges, which happened in Atlanta. So
It's happened in other places in Atlanta. You don't realize, people think that steel's indestructible. You put enough heat to steel, and it gets about as limp as a spaghetti noodle.
Well, that's why that's why the World Trade Center fell, right?
Yep.
It superheated the steel beam, it fell down. So that's my concern, the gas tax, the tire tax, the registration fees. I know we have Republicans down there, and I know they try hardest not to increase the fees or the taxes. And LaPorte County, we had the ability for a wheel tax. We said no. Michigan City said no. We have no choice here. We have 10 cents a gallon and a penny per year for the next 5 or 7 years. We have a tire tax, I believe, make sure I'm right, $5 per new tire, and a registration fee of $15 per year per vehicle. As a typical homeowner, that probably, they said $50 per person, that probably hits us in the increase $100 a year per family. So, got 2 minutes. Andy here shows we got 2 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to bring up next month? Hopefully next month, maybe get something more from Cheney Run.
Oh yeah.
Or next week.
Oh yeah, more to come on Cheney Run.
More to come on Cheney Run.
And probably more to come on the South Shore Station as this project moves along.
So maybe we'll get some more information. We want to reiterate, we do have an email address. It's 46360show, SHOW, @excite.com. Both Dwayne and I can get it. We're working to do a YouTube channel for our shows, and any information you have, it'd be 46360show YouTube channel. So in the past, if you want to look up anything, you can do it. We welcome any issues, any comments. We can't hit every issue. That's why we try to go for 10 issues or 5 issues, 10 minutes each. Today we discussed the Cheney Run floodplain, the Zagster, what we understand is the Divvy bike rental program,
I am going to do some more work on that Zagster program too. I want to know more.
the South Shore Station, the reduced fee waterfront liquor licenses, and a little bit of the gas tax, tire tax, and the registration fee increase. Do you have anything else you want to say to the audience?
Nothing other than to say we welcome your comments, your questions. Everyone will be answered.
This is Point Counterpoint. It's really an issue about our zip code, 46360. That's why we brought it on. We thank Comcast and Cable Access and Alco TV for helping us. We hope you have a good week, and we still don't know when it's going to air, but if it aired, I hope you saw it and we enjoyed doing the show.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you.